Hi, we're going to do our lamprey dissection right here on my back porch. So first I'm going to just show you. Here's how the lampreys come. Sorry you guys don't get to do this exciting thing. It comes in a little vacuum pack. And just open it up like this. And here's the lamprey. So you can see this is about the size, right? They have a little sucker mouth for their blood-sucking habits. And I'm going to rotate down now so you can see. Oh, okay. All right, I'm just going to go through first some of the external features under the camera here. So this is the head, right? And you can see, we look very close, do you see these little dots here? Those are the gill slits. Let me get a probe, I can show you. So they're not full, they're like little openings here. This one, this one, this one, right? Those are the gill slits. Now let's turn it. This one's been a little bit compressed and flattened, but if we open up his mouth, so remember now they don't have a lower jaw, so it's just the opening of the mouth like that. Let me loosen it up a little. There we go. Okay, so now you can see what the mouth looks like. So remember that it's sort of like just having the upper jaw, and they have adapted to be blood-sucking on other marine fishes and freshwater fishes too. So there's different species of lamprey. And notice that there's no pectoral fins. There's none of the paired fins that more derived fishes have. But they do have a dorsal fin. Again, this is like been vacuum packed, so it's kind of let's see. There it is. Okay, so there is a dorsal fin. If you see the pictures in life, you'll see it's bigger. And then there's a caudal fin as well. So you can see on the back, this is fin raised. The main part of the body is called the trunk. And what else do I need to show you? Oh yeah, so the urogenital papilla is back approximately here. There's an opening from the urogenital system and from the intestine. Actually, I'll show you this. This is where they actually cut it in the back, cut it and injected the arteries and veins with a latex. So we'll see that in the other animals that we dissect this year too. So that's not normal in life, right? Okay, so let's see, we have the caudal fin, dorsal fin, trunk, the urogenital papilla, external gill slits, the buccal funnel. So the mouth area is called the buccal funnel. So buccal refers to mouth, and there are teeth in there. I'm not sure if we can see them. Let's see if I can kind of. All right, let's see if I can get close enough so you can see the teeth. Okay. All right, we may have to dissect out a little bit, but you can kind of see those little red spots in there. Those are the teeth. And in the middle there is the tongue. And the tongue actually has teeth on it as well. So those are made of keratin. They're not real teeth. Made of the same thing as our hair and nails. So they're made from keratin. What else? Oh yeah, I wanted to show you also, it's kind of subtle in lampreys, but they have eyes, and they have, where's the eyes? So So these eyes are very primitive eyes on the side here, light sensing organs. And then in the center, where is it? I just get it, flatten him out a little bit so you can see. There we go. Okay, so on the top of the head, this is really cool. So here's the eyes, either side, very reduced. And, oh no. I will pause while the... Okay. So again, this is the head of the lamprey, right? And the mouth opening is here. These are the eyes. And then I'm just rotating to the back here. So this is the dorsal side. Kind of flattening it. All right, so you see that a little bit lighter spot in the middle is called the pineal gland, or the pineal organ. And that is a light sensing organ on the lamprey. So it's very primitive, but we actually have a remnant of that in our brains as well. So right anterior to that, there's a little opening right there. Let's see, that little opening is the nasopharyngeal opening, right? This nose, right? That's the nose on the top there. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is do a sagittal section. So the sagittal section means I'm going to cut it right down the center long ways, like that. That's called a sagittal section. So I'm going to rotate it up here. First, actually, I'm going to cut a transverse section through the trunk, and we'll look at that later. That makes it a little easier for me to cut this anterior part sagittally. So I'm going to try and go straight through the middle so we can look at that pineal gland in detail, and also some of the important chordate features. Hopefully I got through the center here. Okay. All right, so there we are. So that's the sagittal section. It's opened up. And I'll just separate the halves here. All right, so we have, oh, it looks pretty good. Okay, so I'll just look at this half first here. So now you might be able to see inside the mouth. So where's this camera? Here we go. That's a tooth. This is really hard, like what I'm touching here is one of the hard teeth. It feels like, you know, stony. And so that is part of the buccal funnel. And the tongue inside of there, actually we can see on the other half, there's the tongue falling out there. So this is just some of the tongue muscle on this side. All right, and then we can see that opening again that I told you, that nasopharyngeal opening. Let's see if I can get it in sharp focus here. There's the opening should be about here. It's right in there. And just behind that is the pineal gland. So you see this, you can see, I think, the lighter colored skin in the back. Excuse me. And just under that, this is the pineal gland. Okay. And yeah, this just under that is the pineal gland there. So this one, and this is the nasopharyngeal duct here, pineal gland here. All right, let's look farther in. Well, first of all, let's see, what else do I need to know is, okay, so we're gonna look for the gill slits. So just looking at some of the chordate traits, I'm just showing you some cool things about the lamprey now, but let's look, because the reason we're looking at the lamprey, right, is because it's a representative, it's a living taxa now, obviously, but it has retained many of these very basal chordate traits, so we're able to see them very clearly in an animal that looks kind of like what we think the ancestor of all chordates looks like. So what are the chordate synapomorphies, right? We have there's a notochord. Here is the notochord. So let's see if I can focus that. Oh, I don't know. Okay, here's the notochord. It's kind of feels fibrous, you know. It's like a little, it's not hard, but it's like a stiff rod that you could bend, just like you'd think. And then above it, you see right here, this is the spinal cord, the dorsal nerve cord, right? So those are two of the traits. So when the nerve cord is dorsal to the notochord, that is a chordate trait. Interestingly, insects have their nerve cord ventral, and so there's a theory that they actually are kind of like upside down chordates, or like they flipped the way that they have their relationship between the sort of proto-notochord and their main nerve cord. But anyway, in the chordates, it's notochord, nerve cord above it, and then below it you see this blue, that is a cardinal vein. So a major artery is right below it. So there should be there should be an aorta, a dorsal aorta, probably. It's probably in here somewhere. I'll have to look for it. Yeah, actually this side, this section shows the heart better. Let's see if we can get the light on here. Yeah. So here's the heart. All right, and there is so here's the aorta, and then the blue is the vein. So there's major circulatory blood vessels below the notochord. Okay, so we're going to learn about that later in other, in our section on the circulatory system, but I just wanted to show you that here in the lamprey. This is the liver. So, like liver tissue tends to, it's funny, like even, in all sorts of animals, you can tell by the texture of the tissue what organ it is. You can always tell a liver. It's very, very dense and crumbly. Heart tissue just looks like this really like tough muscle. That's heart. All right, and I wanted to show you what else. Let me get my list here. Okay, the gill slits. So another chordate synapomorphy is gill slits, or also known as pharyngeal slits, because they're in the pharynx, also known as pharyngeal arches. So the lamprey has its gill slits formed into a branchial basket, which is kind of, so essentially the gills are like formed into a little, they're kind of joined together into this circular kind of basket shape, and so that's a derived feature of the lampreys. So we don't know what the ancestor had, but that's just what the lampreys have. But they all have gill slits, right? We saw that on the outside you can see those gill openings, the little openings I showed you. And on the inside, this is the branchial basket and the gill slits. You can see kind of where the circulation's going through, right? Because that's the gills, obviously, or where they're getting oxygen, right? So there's a lot of blood vessels bringing them in. Okay, and here on this side, you can see. So there's actually, I can open it a little bit better here. So that's the gill slits, right? Bring in water through the mouth, right? And then passes across the gills and then is expelled out the gill slits. What else? Oh yeah, I wanted to show you the myomeres. So if you look above the notochord, okay, here the notochord gets pretty thick. You can see, look at that nice thick notochord there. Is that the, wait a minute. Yeah, that's a notochord. And then above that you can see this is muscle. I don't know if you can see that well here, but there's muscle. Okay, yeah, you can kind of see it in the light. So see how there's like segments? So each of those muscle segments here is called a myomere. And if something has myo in the name, it's means muscle, and then there's myosepta between them. So separating the myomeres are the myosepta. And I think I got everything that I wanted to show you on that one. So then the last piece I'm going to show you on here is the trunk transverse section. So transverse means like a cross section. So we did that in first. So I'm just going to have a look here. So this is through the trunk area. Let's have a look at this. You can see the orientation of the notochord, nerve cord, dorsal aorta, myomeres, and in this case we see a bit of the liver here. So here we got, this is all the myomeres on the side, right? This is the muscle. This one, this blue one, it's easy to identify because they injected the latex in the blood vessels, but this is a vein, big cardinal vein, and this is the notochord. And then if I pull up a little bit, you can see that hollow. See what it says? So sometimes the nerve cord's called a dorsal hollow nerve cord, because the nerve cord has some fluid inside. That hollow actually means there's a fluid cavity. So that, see if I pull it up, there it is. That's the dorsal hollow nerve cord. Notochord below it, dorsal aorta below it, myomeres on the side, and then you'll probably see the intestine. I think that's probably the intestine there, and this again, this kind of dense tissue is the liver and the lamprey. And I think, is that everything? Yeah, I think that's it. So I'm just going to pull over quickly the lab book so you can see all these features that I showed you. I'll just go through. Here's the external features. Oh, actually, I think I have to put it this way, don't I? Yeah. Okay. So just to have it on the recording, here's all the external features I showed you. Caudal fin and everything. Here's, not sure if I can get this in the picture. There we go. It's going to be sideways. But there's the papilla. This is in a very large lamprey where the mouth is very open. Ours was kind of squished closed, but that's the opening, and you can see how they could grab on to fish and attach with like a suction. And then here is the sagittal section. And this is, you can see all the features. I'll just put it up here so that you have it in recording for studying later. Now, you only are responsible for knowing the ones that I pointed out, which I'll show you that list in a second, but here's, if you don't have a lab book, you can pause the video on this. And then I'm going to go to the next page, which is the sagittal sections. So this one has 4 sagittal sections, but I only, which one is it? Yeah, this only the trunk one is what we looked at. So here's, again, the myomere, spinal cord, dorsal aorta, posterior vein, and they even have the liver in this section. So, all right, and this is, I'll just give you my list here. So these are the ones that we need to know. I'll send you this too, but just for studying, internal sagittal section and the transverse section. Okay. All right, that's it.